reality we face is globally, we still have 800 million people in the world that are not getting enough nutrition. What's changed in the last decade, thankfully, is many of those people are getting enough food, but the quality of that food is too poor to sustain an active lifestyle.
How can a situation like that come about? How do we get to a stage where we have a global industrial scale farming operation where we're producing more food than we need, and yet it's not getting to the right people and it's not delivering what it should deliver? How does that come about?
Yeah, I mean, it's a hugely disturbing phenomenon, but it's not new. We are an incredibly innovative and adaptive species, and we are good at solving big problems with technology. And, many years ago, we realized the world's population was expanding very, very rapidly because we'd solved other problems. People were living longer, they were having more children, and some very bright minds developed solutions to grow more food with less resources. And the Green Revolution was born. And that yielded a huge leap forward in agriculture with technologies like synthetic fertilizers and pesticides and crop technologies that allowed us to develop crops that grew much more productively. The challenge is, whenever we solve one problem, we tend to take our eye off the ball of other problems. And sadly, we took our eye off the ball of nutrition. And maybe we learned a little bit too late that growing enough food is only one part of the solution. We also have to ensure that that food is of sufficient nutritional quality. And when you focus on 3 or 4 major crops to feed people, rice, wheat, corn, those crops don't tend to be the most nutritious naturally. And sadly, the gap between the price and affordability of those basic commodities and the more nutritious foods like proteins and vegetables has widened and widened and widened. And we're left with a situation where a huge population, up to 2 billion people, just don't have access or affordable access to more nutritious diets.
We live in an area where rice is considered not just to be a staple part of the diet simply because it's availability, but because it's part of the cultural system now.
Yes.
So is the challenge here to change the entire mindset around what food is and what we should be eating?
That's what we learned. I was very fortunate to work for this amazing organization called Harvest Plus. And I think one of the most inspiring parts of working for that organization was realizing that it's not about changing what people eat and asking them to adopt a completely different diet. It's about improving the diet they're already eating. That's a much easier way to move the dial using behavioral influencing techniques than to expect someone to change their entire cultural norm because it's not working.
So explain a bit more. You're changing what?
So Harvest Plus is an organization that over the last 15 years has developed crop breeding technology that allows crops that are already high yielding to become nutritious as well as high yielding. So it's putting the nutrition back into crops like rice, wheat, corn. And therefore, people that only have access to those crops as an affordable option are winning both on quantity and quality. Now, it's not perfect. It's not the Holy Grail. The ideal would be to lift those populations out of poverty so they can afford a more diverse diet, as what we all do in more developed countries.
So let's just reset what we're talking about here. Then what we're looking at here is an agriculture industry that needs to consider the problem of nutrition and not simply the problem of quantity.
Yes.
And we also need to think about how we get that nutrition to the right parties, because it seems that the people who are suffering as a consequence of the nutritional deficit are the people who need it most, i.e. the poor.
Yep.
That's an enormous challenge. How can one begin to address and begin to have an impact upon that problem?
Well, the fantastic thing is it's solvable. I mean, it's not a problem in isolation. Remember, if we're trying to solve agricultural quality as opposed to quantity, we also have to take into account things like environmental and social impact factors. But nutrition is one that is solvable. We've got the solution. Harvest Plus is now reaching more than 40 million people with more nutritious varieties of those crops at no extra cost. The challenge is connecting the solution to the people and connecting the investment to the solution. And that's always the challenge with international development and sustainability. Our solutions, our finance, and the beneficiary tend to sit in very different parts of the world. And my biggest passion is connecting those three silos.
Let's talk about connecting the investment to the solution. Why is that a problem? If it's self-evident, as you say, shouldn't it just be normal practice?
I think it should, but it's very difficult to shift a business model mindset to that practice. We find it easy in business to sell to the most accessible customer. The very tenet of business is it should be efficient and simple. And the quickest way to make money is to sell to a consumer that's very close by, that doesn't require a huge amount of effort to get your solution to the beneficiary. But fortunately, we are now seeing more innovative businesses that are truly purpose-led and designed to achieve impact beyond that immediate make a dollar. And we're seeing organizations, NGOs, philanthropies that are helping to underwrite the extra cost that it takes to make that extra effort to get to those at a distance consumers.
It's fascinating. I mean, what you're saying in a way is that actually entrepreneurism in itself may be slightly flawed because it's focusing on the wrong problems.
I wouldn't go that far. I think entrepreneurs are responsible for solving the connectivity problem. We need entrepreneurs at every part of the matrix. We need an entrepreneur to come up with the technology to solve the problem. We need an entrepreneur to design a new innovative finance mechanism so it's invested in a way that gets to the consumer. And we need entrepreneurs to develop the scalability, go-to-market strategies that reach those slightly inaccessible consumers.
But the very beginning of that process, from what I understood you were saying, is that the entrepreneur seems to focus on the problem that he sees or she sees, and not the problem that really exists, which is how we ended up with an agriculture industry that tackled the problem of volume and didn't tackle the problem of nutrition.
Absolutely. And there's no big conspiracy theory here. As human beings, we tend to solve problems that are problems in our own lives. We solve a problem because it's a barrier to our own success. And therefore, it's very normal that an entrepreneur sitting in Silicon Valley and buying food in Whole Foods is going to solve a problem for the people that are most immediately within their own community, and less likely to think of a problem of a smallholder farmer in India.